All right, welcome to the podcast, everybody. My name is Dalton. We are Resolutions Healthcare, and our inpatient facility is called Hidden Oaks. We are located in Chatfield, about an hour south of Dallas. And we do these podcasts to give y'all some more knowledge and wisdom into the recovery world. Uh, Today, this is a podcast in our series called Start the Conversation, where I have our CEO and Chief Clinical Officer, Vinny Stromolo. I call him Boss Man, so if you hear me say that on the podcast, that's who I'm talking about. And today we're going to be talking about one of his blogs that Vinny wrote. It's titled "Money Can't Buy You Recovery." You can find all of our blogs, all of our podcasts on resolutionshealthcare.com. Really check it out. And you have 50 blogs on there?
Somewhere around that.
Somewhere. Got a lot of blogs on there, a lot of info, a lot of good knowledge for you to soak in. So get over there, check that out, read it. Hit that like, share, subscribe button if you like this conversation. All right, let's get into it. Money can't buy you recovery. I'm going to start on the back page, boss. You said this statement, and I quote, I will end the way I started. Money can't buy you recovery. Only the drive and desire to change your lives can bring you to that goal, and money has little to do with it. I just love that quote. Money cannot buy you recovery. Only the drive and the will to change your life. That's what you got to have.
And actually, that segues to the other podcast, Purpose, Finding a Purpose. I used to call it Find Your Passion.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mo, who we all know from Mars on our leadership team, said, he sees it more as purpose. And that's kind of what that means. Um, but what is it based on? Again, all my blog, there isn't one blog, and now clients actually use that book of blogs. We actually have advanced discussions in groups on the blogs because they're all based on my 35 years of experience. And especially this blog is based on the last 10 years in the addiction world, where I truly did see we've had in previous places I've been without names, some high end places, CEOs flying in on their private jet.
Right.
These people are worth millions,
Mm-hmm.
and yet they're unhappy, they're struggling,
Mm-hmm.
their addictions are now eating away at their life. They thought once they made it
Right.
and had money,
Mm-hmm.
that was going to solve all these problems. What they've never banked on is that sometimes what drives you to be successful and get money and have money is kind of an underlying family dynamic issue,
Right.
a mental health issue that kind of drove you to success. And in your head, you're believing once you get there, everything's going to be fine.
Right.
Life's going to be good. I'm going to be happy.
I'm gonna be happy.
Only to get there and to find emptiness, isolation, and really starting to panic.
Right.
So that's what led to that, along with the experience of I've seen people, oh, even personally, I've had family members, I've seen people go from high end rehabs, successful, not successful, both ways,
Right.
to state run, unfortunately, very inner city programs that are really a horrible, horrible environment. I had a family member in one for 6 months, and it doesn't mean you can't recover in either one of those because you can. You can.
We've seen it.
So again, money isn't the factor. Even 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 the fact that you're maybe a state run, maybe subsidized program, you don't have many experienced clinicians, still don't mean you can't get sober.
Right.
Because there are people there that have been through it and can take you through it. What may not get addressed are the other issues that led you there in the first place. And we talk about trauma, unresolved life events. So other factors you might not get to. But money isn't the deciding factor on whether you get sober and stay sober, is the message I'm giving in that blog.
Right. Yeah, we've seen people worth millions of dollars. We've seen people that came to came to treatment with one pair of clothes, and we've seen them some get it and some not get it, and we've seen them get it at the high end places and at the low end places.
Yeah,
It's it's the will to change
right.
and the willingness and the drive that you have to find within yourself to want to be sober. You know, we see that money can't buy happiness. We see it all over America.
That's another blog, I believe, too.
We see people that, have all this stuff and they still
Right,
are unhappy.
right,
They get the fame, they get the
right.
fortune, but too many times those
Yeah.
past unresolved traumas and life events poke their head up and they're unhappy.
I look at sports figures. We talked about that. You had Morris Crosby on here.
Yeah,
A great podcast. Please
yeah,
listen
check
to
that
that.
out.
Parents need to listen to that because I talk about it in my groups about sports figures. They're a good example. They maybe had especially sports figures who come from, let's say, a low socioeconomic area community, struggling to make it through their teens, finding organized sports, wonderful way to take that energy that was on the streets in a negative way and put it towards something positive. They get into the sports, they're successful. Some even go on to professional careers, millionaires.
Hmm.
10, 15 years later, when the lights go down and the cheering stops, what do? They revert back to
Where they were.
when they were before. And I call that emotionally frozen in time, another blog. And what happens is they crash and burn. Now, here's people that are millionaires. They have made it to millions, and it's all gone within a flash.
Right.
Their lives, and some crash and burn. Others don't. So again, all right, here's your purpose, your will. What makes some successful came from the same background, and some not successful and crash and burn. Movie stars. I can go on with famous people. And what drove them initially, that drive came from maybe a unhealthy environment they grew up in. But they never address it. And then they think when they're making money and successful, they have reached it now. They're okay. I made it out. I'm
Good.
fine. No, you're not fine unless you dealt with those issues. So I always look at that. I even talk about veterans that have gone to war.
Yeah.
And I grew up in a neighborhood during the Vietnam War. I've seen people come back, readjust, and others just not capable of readjusting. What is the difference? In the blog, in that particular blog, you're calling it will purpose. I call it actually your state of mind. Your state of mind. That's a big factor. What is your state of mind prior to you, let's say, reaching success? Or what sent you on your way? What was that state of mind? Was it healthy to begin with? Or was it just unhealthy and you found a way out? You made it. You made a lot of money. But now once you're there, you realize it's not making me any happier in life and you start to unravel.
Right.
What's the difference? Your state of mind.
Hmm.
So,
You also wrote down that you're a believer that finding some passion or meaning in your life is a key ingredient to successful recovery. I think we exemplify that statement in the way that we run our treatment
Right.
program. It's not a cookie cutter one way. You have to do AA, you have to do this, you have to do that. You kind of have the freedom to choose which route, which path you want to go down, because we encourage, we would almost demand it if we could. I think that people have to pick up on something in treatment that they're going to follow through
Right.
with outside of treatment. You got to call that call that passion, call that meaning in your life, call that purpose, whatever you want to call it, but you got to find that to be successful in your recovery, because the fear of relapsing, that's not enough, or the
Right.
the fear of losing the wife or the job, that's not enough. You got to have some purpose, some meaning.
You hit the nail on the head when you say to to, to follow through. And that was another big factor we learned at a previous place, all of us together, is that your 30 days here, we could probably force any way of thinking, a one way, a cookie cutter, this is the way to sobriety. And during that 30 days will be fine. But someone, let's say, thinks differently. Someone lives in a rural area, doesn't have access to meetings all around them. So we give them all this buildup about this program. This is how you follow through with it. And they go home and they're in the middle of nowhere. There's no meetings to be had. They don't have the ability, let's say, to jump virtually on something. So all we did was give them tools that they can't take home and follow through with.
Mm,
If they don't believe in the way, if they don't believe in the philosophy we're teaching, they're not going to follow through with that philosophy.
right.
So that's what we mean again when we say we want them to follow through. We throw everything we can throw at them. We have, again, the gymnasium. We have 6,000 square foot gym. We have art. We have yoga in the morning. They're doing meditation. They're doing finding all these different methods. Which one sticks for them?
Hmm.
Which one will they leave here and follow through with, as opposed to go home? I equate it to when I used to go to a conference. I'd go to a psych conference. You go and, oh, yeah, I got a whole bag full of stuff from the 3 day conference. I bring it home. I'm all excited, put it under my desk. And 3 years later, I find it there.
Right.
Oh, I forgot
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
If I didn't learn something that I could come back and apply, it was really not effective at all.
Yeah. Yeah. You say that the people that you've seen stay sober are the ones that continue to follow through with recovery practices. It's all about
Right.
that follow through. You
Yeah.
got to find something that you're going to keep doing. If I just shove AA down your throat for 30 days and you go home and you hate AA, why did I do that for 30 days? Why did you sit through it for 30
Right.
days? It's
Yeah.
null and void. It's worthless.
Right. Right. Someone who, nowadays, especially, everybody doesn't want to socialize. We could say how healthy it is for you, but if it's something you kind of have some anxiety about it, there's other ways.
Right.
That's smart recovery, more computer based. You can virtual,
Yeah.
you can connect to a community. The idea is just to connect
Right.
and stay connected. Look, we we've seen clients follow all different paths. But the one philosophy I do like, I don't know if it's NA or NA or both, is the 90 and 90.
Yeah.
I call
Yeah.
it. I even bring that up in my groups. 90 and 90 meetings. What is that about? Okay, I have to go to what? I have to go to 90 days of meetings every single day. Yes. But, I don't really like that. I teach them it's not about the meeting or even what's discussed at the meeting. It has nothing to do with that. What it has to do with is you're changing your behavior.
Hmm.
You're changing, you're forcing. In those 90 days, you're going to have days where you don't want to go.
Exactly.
Push through it. You're going to
Exactly.
have days where you're tired. Push through it. You're going to have days where too many things are happening. I don't have time for it. push through it. So it's forcing people to focus on changing their patterns. That's what that's about. And
Right.
it's a great philosophy because, like I teach clients also, if you do not get rewarded at a level of change, you're going to revert back to your most comfortable level.
Right.
We call it homeostasis in
Yeah.
family systems.
Yeah. I I tell everybody there's going to be days in recovery where you wake up and you don't want to get out of bed. There's going to be
Yeah.
days in recovery where you don't want to go see the therapist. There's going to be days in recovery when you don't want to go to the meeting or to church or fill in the blank. That's the days you need to force yourself to go because that's where the reward comes.
Mhm.
You're not you're not you don't feel that sense of accomplishment or that sense of reward when you just do something that man, I want to do this, but it's going to reward me. No, when you do something that is hard, when you do something that is a challenge, that is when you feel a greater reward. If I
Mhm.
go in the gym and I do 10 push-ups, okay, not going to have a sense of accomplishment for that because that's in my comfort zone. But if I go in there and I push myself to do 100 push-ups, well, that's outside of my comfort zone, and now I'm feeling like boss hog in there, and I'm getting that reward, that natural dopamine that is, man, I did it. I'm good. So I think that's kind of where you're going with the 90 and 90. You got to push yourself to do something hard and become that new person, start that new routine.
You can look at it the other way too. Any workout is better than no workout.
True,
Even a bad workout
true.
is better than no workout. You go to the meeting and you fall asleep because you're so tired. It's okay. You went to the
You
meeting.
went to the meeting.
You may not have learned much, but you went.
Right.
You went. You pushed through. So there's where again, it's just changing your habits, changing your thinking, and pushing through stuff. So
So back
that
to money can't buy recovery. Um, High end, low end. It doesn't. You've seen them work at both. You've seen them not work at both. You got to have the will to change. You got to find purpose and meaning in your life. Is there anything else that this topic pops into your mind that you just have to get out?
the biggest factor, and again, what led to that blog is, and you know who I'm referring to, that maybe now there's two clients that I'm referring to that there isn't for anyone out there saying, "Oh yeah, well I'd rather have the money. At least give me a shot at it." Yeah, I get all that. We talk about it. You can laugh about it all you want, but to actually see somebody who has millions of dollars accessible if they just quit,
Mm-hmm.
they get sober,
Mm-hmm.
they can reach and they have that there, and they still weren't able to. We've seen it twice now where, for whatever reason, so if that doesn't tell you money can't buy you recovery, I don't know what else would, because that didn't do it for these people. Not yet, anyway, not
Right.
from our knowledge. So,
I mean, that's
so it really has nothing to do with recovery.
amen. Amen. So you got to be determined. You got to have that determination, and you got to have that desire to
Right.
change your life for the better.
Again, it goes back to even our other podcast of what sets us apart. It's the fact that they have to learn the internal light has to go on some way, shape, or form. Some internal mechanism has to say, I'm ready. I'm done. I'm going to give it a try. I want to do this for myself, not for others. Something has to click internally, which has nothing to do with your financial status.
Right. Amen. Amen. Good discussion. Good conversation. Again, check us out on resolutionshealthcare.com. You can call the leadership team at 469-614-8407. That'll get you in touch with admissions or just to talk to us about questions or anything that you might have. Um, we will see you on the next one.